It's great to meet you. I love your story. Thank you for taking a minute out. I appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here, and I love sharing a little bit of hope and perspective for people who might feel it's too late for them.
Absolutely. So let's begin with the pandemic. 4 years ago, we were trying to figure out how long it was going to last, the ramifications. How did you make it through that time period, and how did it change you?
Um, when I think back to it now, I actually think of 2 months party. I know it sounds crazy, but we did everything we could to get our three kids back home, and they sort of came on the last flights from the UK where they were at uni. So the entire family was home. We were five. We were not allowed to go out at all because in Spain the lockdown was really tough. But looking back, it was like we spend the days sort of, having fun, watching TV shows together, drinking wine, doing all sorts of things. I also became very serious about my online business, which I think many people did. Many people sort of switched online. I had always been online, but I became more serious. It was more dedication. I did not think at the time about any repercussions. And I think now, with hindsight, in a way, we're still sort of paying the toll for that time, for that scary time. I think it was like a like a global, I don't want to call it a psychosis, but something like a global stress crisis for everyone. And whenever I talk to people now, and we're talking about, say, problems like, my clients that want to get stronger, better, healthier, um, 95% of them say that the pandemic like really set them back. 5% say that they benefited to change for the better. I think that I have even more focused now on the present moment. I have learned that through my illness, that was long before, but I remember that during the pandemic, I remember that I had promised a friend that I was going to go see her, and I never did. So when that was over, I traveled to see her right away. So it really taught me to be more in the present, um, even than before.
So let's get to the heart and soul here in 2024 of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids, third graders. It's career day, and one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I help women start exercising, women who think it's too late. They feel stiff and rigid because they're not very young anymore. Sometimes they carry too much weight and they do want to move, but they're not sure how because they're afraid that they might get hurt. So I find ways that they can move. And once they start moving, they actually feel better really soon, and then they feel like moving even more. And then we complement that with the right stuff to eat to be always fit to fuel your workouts, and it becomes like a virtuous cycle from there. I don't know if a fifth grader doesn't know or what it was it. Yeah, what the virtuous cycle is, but where you get better and better instead of worse and worse.
Absolutely. So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
I think I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was never going to happen. But I remember that with three friends, we made a pact that we wanted to be lawyers. None of us became a lawyer. It was probably just this cultural thing that we wanted to be something serious, something cool for a girl at the time, because I was still brought up thinking, you either have a cool career or you have a family, and it was very clear that for a girl it was preferable to have a family was
Yeah.
more the thing to do.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how you got this resilience to get to a point where you took something like an MS diagnosis and made it your mission to not let it get you down, to become something bigger than that. What were those seeds that were planted into you that gave you that courage and strength?
Um, I think one thing that I have recognized and identified now is that I was taught to enjoy and thrive with challenges, like physical challenges too. Try to run faster, try to run further, try to. I was as a small child, I was a gymnast. Try to jump higher. All these things. So I think this sort of looking at challenges is something that you can face with with joy and excitement. I think that helped me a lot. That didn't mean that when I got my diagnosis, I felt, oh, great, here's a challenge that I can overcome. Not at all. But when I sort of boiled it down to what were my limitations and everything, um, that's where I then just said, okay, let's see if, with my crutches, how far can I walk today? Can I get there? And then, oh, maybe today I can walk with one crutch. So it's a mix of really uh, not shying away from a challenge, even enjoying it. And then because this diagnosis was so scary, I decided to focus on the present, like really from it. It was nearly from one day to the next, because the future, the famous big picture that we all supposed to keep in mind all the time, was too scary, too dark, too unpredictable. And if I was going to lose myself in that big picture, I would just be scared and sad. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna focus on what I can do today. Spend time with my kids. I had been in a hospital. They had seen me in hospital far too much. I wanted to spend time with them, and I could focus on that present day opportunity. And I think this mix of, being able to kind of take up a challenge and also stay focused on what I can do now, not get too scared of tomorrow or next year or in 10 years. Um, that helped me just keep doing things, and that then helped me get better.
So, who's been kind of a hero or an inspiration for you to get to this point?
Oh, a hero. I have there's a strength coach, an American guy who I admire a lot. His name is Dan John. And um he does, strength coaching, but he's also, I think he did theology studies. So he has this mix that I love of brawn and brain. And I remember I once went to a seminar that he gave in London, and he told us this story that he broke his wrist in 8 places, and everybody told him, you're never going to lift again. And then he did something really crazy. He did rehab, and he's lifting again. He has had 2 hip replacements, and after a few months, he was lifting again. So this is like this kind of, knock them down, they get back up guy who has inspired me a lot.
So, if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating, who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
I don't know if I can say this. Um, it might even be Tom Cruise.
Okay.
I know he's controversial and everything, but the way that he has stayed in shape, how he's like facing these things that he does in his movies, how is doing his stunts by himself and everything. I would love to just tap a little bit into his mindset.
So, talk to me a little bit about the diagnosis. How long after it did you realize you weren't going to let that hold you down and you were going to do something completely different with your life?
I think it was basically right away, because when the doctor told me you have MS and you need lifelong treatment, first of all, I fought with him for an hour and said, I don't want lifelong treatment. Is it really necessary? My second relapse, it was much milder than the first one. Maybe I'm getting better. He was not used to that. I mean, he was like he got quite impatient. Um, but I asked him right away, can I exercise? Because I mean, I have numbness in my left hand to this day because the nerves are damaged. But otherwise, I could walk, I could do things. And I said, can I exercise? And he said, yeah, yeah, be careful. I said, what the hell? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It just means I don't know, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to take any responsibility. But right away, right when I sat across from him and said, can I exercise? There was this thing in me that wanted to like take charge of my body again, like take that physical challenge, become strong, and sort of grab my power back too, because when you need lifelong treatment, there's a part of your power that's taken away from you. And I because I had this culture of enjoying physical challenges, I think this was my choice, my way of choice to sort of get my power back. And I maybe I waited another 2 weeks or something, and then I went to the gym.
So, the thing about life is that it's this it's the journey. It takes a while to get to where you want to go. And you've been consistent about making yourself better and getting to a better place. What is it that gets you up every day and motivates you to do what you do and to remain positive and to keep this diagnosis away from affecting your life? What is that motivation?
It's doing. This is one of the big insights, and that can change anybody's life. There is no motivation before action. It's the other way around. Action always comes before motivation. And we spend so much time thinking, oh, when is this thing going to come over me like an epiphany and I'll be so motivated? So many women I talk to who really want to change their lives, that I'm not motivated. Yeah, the motivation does not fall from the sky. So I do it with small actions that I do daily. I go for my walk. I become so accustomed to doing things that even when I wake up in the morning and think I don't want to walk today, 10 minutes later I'm outside, and that's the way you, because that shows you can do things, and it gives you the energy to keep doing things. If you just sit there and wait for some kind of inspiration or some motivation, is like a mood. So one day it's there, the next day it's not. Action is something that you can control every day.
So what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
The best advice I've ever gotten: um, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
I think that's a it's liberating. It's liberating. You just realize that the world's not going to come to an end. I mean, life taught me that, because I was out of the equation when I had to go to hospital from one day to the next with three small kids. Life taught me that no, you can be um, out of it, and the world will keep on turning. And I think that's a uh, very good thing to know. Actually, I'm grateful that I learned that.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. Of all of the things that you've done and accomplished in your life, what are you the proudest of?
I'm going to tell you the total truth, and you're going to be surprised. I read War and Peace in the original Russian version,
Wow.
and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in Russian literature is some of the best stuff that's ever been written, so I get it. That's huge.
Yeah, it took me a long time. Um, and because I live in Spain now, my Russian has gotten very rusty. I just learned it for fun at some point. But that was a thing where I had also had this sort of cute edition. It was like 4 tomes with little drawings and stuff. So I worked my way through that, and I'm really proud of it.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you. You can give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give that young version of you?
I would tell her to not believe everything that she thinks, and focus on the present moment.
So everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, everyone that you know, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, I don't know. I'm still looking.
I get it. I get it. It's a journey. So, hey, if anyone wants to reach out, they want to learn more about your story, any of the good business with your life, where can they go?
The easiest way is to go to kimrahir.com, my website, and you can even take a free assessment on there, find out where your health and strength is at. So I can give you some pointers, if you want to get strong and take charge of your health, and if you want to see what I'm up to, get a little bit of advice, have some fun, and my weightlifting adventures too. You can follow me on Facebook with Kim Rahir with my name.
This has been wonderful. What a wonderful story, Kim. Thank you so much for taking a little time out today. Keep doing the wonderful work and inspiring people. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. Take